Hello everyone, my name is Emmeline Parker. A wise man once said, "I am awesome." These words of wisdom could be spoken by none other than Beaverton's own Matthew Hottmann. Mr. Hottmann grew up in the Garden Home area and later attended Linfield College, where he majored in English. Despite his high school education at Jesuit High School, Mr. Hottmann managed to find his way to Beaverton. He has had no trouble joining the Beaverton community, and along with his post as English teacher, he has also taken on the role of basketball coach and head tennis coach. In his 9th year at Beaverton, Mr. Hottmann was voted most spirited by the student newspaper. This was for his work on Beaver Nation migration and constant support of the orange and black. Along with his wife Caroline and children Brady and Avery, it is common to see them all at any and all Beaverton events. As Mr. Hottmann would explain it, my children are seemingly being raised at Beaverton. It is an honor to have him here today to speak and represent the class of 2012. And so now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Hottmann.
Once upon a time, class of 2012, you chose me to be graduation speaker. I'm going to believe you chose me because you want me to read directly from Thoreau's Walden for the next 10 minutes. But more realistically, you clearly told me that Harry Potter is so much better than some weirdo who lives alone in the woods in a Dodge. Maybe you chose me because I'm sufficiently awkward and you want to be entertained. Or I suspect some of you chose me because you want to birdman me. But either way, it's sincerely one of the honors of my life, so thank you. I've adored this class. I filed away many of the things I've seen in my own Beaverton High School Hall of Fame. The stories of this class I will retell, and in some way the class of 2012 will stick around Beaverton for years to come. That's what I believe life is about, finding and collecting stories. Now, I know I'm a nerdy English teacher, that's what we do. It's to be expected that I think this way. But I believe the brain organizes itself around stories and metaphors. That's why I have a tendency to find deeper meaning in almost everything, which is really annoying to people who aren't English nerds, especially my wife. My story, The Revenge of the Carhartt Jacket, and its sequel, The Emasculation of the Pumpkin Spice Latte, become not trips to Starbucks while wearing a Carhartt jacket, but stories about masculine identity and the clashing of diverse cultures. But for every great story I've told in class, for every board lengthener or shag carpet Sasquatch, there's a story that just doesn't work out the way I saw it in my mind. Graduates, pay attention. Here's your first bit of advice. Sometimes things don't work out the way you envision. Life's rough, and it really doesn't care about you. Now we do. Hear this, please. We do. Those who are here do. But life itself doesn't. You cannot live life without wounds, without scars, without getting beat up a bit. You're going to get bruised, you're going to get broken, it's going to happen. Accept it. It may not be fair, it may not be right, but it's still going to happen. Quick story. A little nervous because the only time I've been in front of a group this large was when I was a sophomore in college. Somehow, I'm still not sure how, I got roped into being in a beauty pageant called the Mr. Linfield Contest. I really had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't seen it before. And so I soon found myself prancing around stage during the swimsuit competition and wearing little floaties. I'm pretty sure I would have finished dead last if not for one of the other contestants who chose to sing a 9-minute long Weird Al medley. It just never ended. It was awful. It was excruciating and it was genius at the same time. Andy Kaufman-esque. So thanks to Reed, I finished 5th or 6th. For my talent, I somehow thought it'd be a good idea to play guitar and try to lead a sing-along with 1,000 people who were there. I sang some song some quirky friend of mine had written. It was terrible, it bombed. Everybody kind of looked at me. I'm a terrible singer. And the only people who sang were my friends and maybe one or two other people who just couldn't stand the awkward silence. So the point of that story is this. Sometimes in life, you're going to be leading a sing-along in front of 1,000 people all by yourself. You'll be embarrassed for months. Everybody you meet will remember that moment, and you won't be able to shake it. Here's my advice: toughen up. Rub some dirt on your pride and get back out there. Kipling suggests this in his famous poem, If. I'm going to paraphrase it badly here, but he says, when you can watch the things that you've given your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, then, graduates, then you are on your way to becoming an adult in the best sense of the word. So I encourage you to have the guts to stoop and rebuild when necessary. If you had me in class, you know that I've had to stoop and rebuild plenty of terrible stories in my life. And I found the best way to get out of a terrible story is to say, and then I found $5. It works. It's a distractor. Sometimes the audience feels sincere joy for your newfound wealth. I'm going to defy a pretty typical commencement speech theme here. It's the idea of finding yourself. Allie kind of alluded to it. The time to go out into the world. Don't let anyone tell you what to do with your life. Go live it. Maybe they'll quote from Dr. Seuss and muse about all the places you'll go. And that's pretty good advice after you listen to this advice. Rather than read all the places you'll go, first learn all the places those before you went. It isn't always about you. The world did exist before you were born. Your parents weren't always lame. They decided they'd rather be good parents than cool in the eyes of a teenager, hopefully. Our society today doesn't make this easy to digest, and it certainly doesn't encourage it. Narcissism has swaggered its way into our culture. And with this narcissism has come a sense of entitlement and delusional self-esteem. Life isn't that welcoming. I wish it was, but it isn't. With MySpace, Friendster, Facebook, and Twitter have come an implication the world wants to always know what you think. It usually doesn't. Facebook asks what's on your mind as if it's your right to always tell us, and it usually isn't. Seriously, no one cares to see a picture of the nachos you made last night for dinner. But you can fight against this. You don't have to buy into what this culture is selling you. Here's the tough thing, though. Just kind of by definition, the next 5 years or so of your life are intrinsically selfish. If you're going to college, you're going to college for you. You're trying to find your place, your career, your friends. And those aren't bad things, they aren't at all. But I urge you, please take a deep breath from the forging of your own identity to consider the identity of others. I believe relationships are the antidote to the difficulties of life. And a self-centered life will end up like the Narcissus of mythology. When difficulty comes, and it will, you'll be frozen in your own reflection. So break away from the mirror, invest in others. In his holy sonnet, John Donne got it correct when he said this: "No man is an island entire of itself. Each is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." So take the time to see the rest of the figurative, or in some of your cases, literal continent, so that when life punches you in the face, you'll have the relational foundation to rise above victorious. Because I believe that when it comes down to it, no matter how materially successful you may or may not be in life, ultimately it's the strength of our relationships that give us meaning and fulfillment. That's not to say you should lay back and do nothing. I think you gotta battle life, you gotta compete, but you gotta keep things in perspective. Remember that your true treasure is not a 401k, a vacation house, a nice car, or in my case, a new car that has windows that roll down. What ultimately matters is people. So don't lose sight of why you are doing what you are doing. Achieve like crazy. The world is rough and it won't baby you, but take the time in the midst of that to value people. My friend Ferris helps keep me grounded. He said, life moves pretty fast. If you don't take the time to look around once in a while, you can miss it. So instead of focusing on being known ourselves, please take the time to know others. And as a nice little accident, you'll find your own life has been enriched. And then after you've heard the stories of those before you, after you've sat around the figurative campfire and absorbed the lessons and absurdity and humanity of others, and after you've taken a deep breath and resisted the desire to share your opinion in 140 characters or less, then go weave your story into the lives of others. Class of 2012, go create some stories. This class, you've got a pretty good jump start on some of those stories. I'll carry with me forever the vision of Occupy the free t-shirt line. It was just plain ridiculous. Pretty sure, though, we can mine it for metaphorical meaning if we really want to. But who camps outside the gym for Jam the Dam in the rain, I think, complete with camp chairs for a free t-shirt, with homemade signs, with hashtag Occupy, with singing, na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na, hey, 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 Occupy. That was a nice touch. And I really thought of turning that into a sing-along, but I resisted. Then, of course, as Allie alluded to, you have the Journey sing-along at prom. Again, I've never seen anything like that. Something to happen just so naturally, so organically. People singing about living in a lonely world and pledging to never stop believing. And that moment, that cohesion, is something I'll never forget. Sincerely, that moment is a metaphor for Beaverton High School. So class of 2012, those stories are just the beginning. Invest yourself in the people around you, value them, and their stories will meld with yours, and soon your story will be captivating. We all eagerly anticipate hearing what your future holds, so battle life with enthusiasm and with your friends beside you. Class of 2012, I feel confident I can speak for those who have gathered here, and we've enjoyed cheering for you the last 4 years. Thank you for adding to our story. Thank you for the privilege of being invited into your narrative. May you take the lessons you've learned from others and integrate them into your life. May the memories of Beaverton High School provide a foundation for your success. May your story be incredible. And if at times life wins a battle or two, in those moments, may you find $5.